Hello, everyone. And Oscar season is over, but we'll still be doing 2024 Oscar predictions. Don't worry about that. And we have entered the summer, which means it is Emmy season. Uh, I believe eligibility ends the end of this upcoming month. So we've seen most of the shows we're going to be talking about. And I'm joined by Anthony to do our first ever round of 2023 Emmy predictions.
I love that the summer solstice doesn't decide when summer starts. It's Kevin Feige.
Yes,
But you know what? It's
he
very hot
does.
out. It's water ice season. I'm ready for summer to begin.
Yes, yes. And with that, the Emmys. Let's start with the comedy categories. Uh, eight nominees here. Would you like me to go first?
Do the honor.
Okay. Number one, I have Abbott Elementary. I'm not gonna get into winners right now, but I guess if I had to pick one right now, it would be Abbott. Then I got Ted Lasso. Then I got The Bear. Then I got Only Murders in the Building. Then I have Barry. I feel like those five are all pretty locked in. Then Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I do think will get nominated, but I could see it missing potentially. Then I have Shrinking, which I think is stronger than lots of people have it predicted to be. And for my last spot, I'm between What We Do in the Shadows and Poker Face. What We Do in the Shadows has not missed for any of its seasons. And I don't know how many people have Peacock and watched Poker Face, but it also has the Ryan Johnson factor. Right now, I'm going to stick with the show that's got history, and I'll say What We Do in the Shadows, but you may sway me if you have Poker Face.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we're at a place where first off, we're seeing a lot of like comedy light or
Mm-hmm.
these dramedies kind of fill the category. I think you see that definitely with Barry, which I have said repeatedly in past seasons that
It's a
I don't
full
know how this is
drama.
still a comedy. You have Ted Lasso, which is, I mean, those episode lengths are as long as the dramas. Some of
Week
them,
third season.
yeah,
This season.
some of them longer than 50 minutes. And they
Yeah.
definitely deal with some weightier material. So yes, I think it's interesting the cross section of nominees we have and what that means for campaigning. Will some of them stick out in a good way or a bad way? I agree with you that Abbott Elementary is at the top. This show has not won this category because its season
Yeah.
one lost to Ted Lasso season two. So I think this is a time for the show to really garner that support, win the top prize. Um, I do think Ted Lasso just has such cachet that despite I think some I don't even want to say mix. I just think it's less enthused response compared to the first two seasons. I think it's
Yeah.
definitely hurting it, and I definitely think means that we won't see many, if any, wins for the show this season. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. I think you can never discount some
Supposedly
of
the
the
final
actors.
season, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if it was the final season, they would advertise it
be
as such.
more.
It's such a
Yeah.
strong, moniker to give something in its campaign,
Yeah.
especially in the ad campaign when the show hasn't even released yet, as we're
Yeah.
seeing with Succession. So I still think Ted Lasso is a it's at number two. I don't know if it's a strong number two, but it's at number two. Then I think we have The Bear, Only Murders in the Building, Barry. I think those are probably
Those ones are all
contenders to get
secured
in. Yeah, I mean, I could see a world where Barry could just surprises everybody and misses because I do think the third season
with
didn't
eight
perform as
spots, though.
well. Um, well, because we do have a lot of new shows. We have Shrinking, we have Wednesday, we have Poker Face, and I do see a world where all those could maybe get in, especially if they're just fresh and exciting in a way that the older shows kind of have run their course. We'll see. I'm not necessarily predicting it now, but I do think it's a possibility. Um, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel has never not been nominated in this category.
Yeah.
So I do think it's kind of unlikely that it will miss out. I also think that Amazon kind of is going to direct their campaigning just to this. So they're not going to get distracted.
Yeah.
So why would Mrs. Maisel miss? Um, and also Mrs. Maisel, I think, appeals to a very different demographic and a different voter. Only Murders and Mrs. Maisel, I think, do well because of that. Abbott Elementary does so strong because I think it appeals to everybody, and that's the
Yeah.
strength of that ensemble. But a lot of these shows, I feel like, are appealing to millennials, appealing to younger viewers. So that's why Mrs. Maisel potentially has a strong leg to stand on. I also think that's why Shrinking will do well, because I do think Harrison Ford is a strong component to that show's overall success. I'm interested to see what happens with Shrinking, also because it's Apple TV Plus. A lot of the Ted Lasso guys also work on that, so
Yeah.
does that maybe cancel them out because Ted Lasso's kind of already guaranteed to get in? It's interesting. I do think
I
that
think
what
they can
the
get two
shadows,
shows in.
yeah. I wonder about what we do in the shadows because I think it could miss easily because it always
Oh,
is
it
seen
easily
an
could.
eight
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel pretty good about those top seven. And then that last spot, I'm between Poker Face, not Shrinking, I'm Shrinking, and Poker Face, What We Do in the Shadows, and maybe Wednesday, but Wednesday is kind of like a CW quality level show. So net, I mean, it's super popular, and Netflix doesn't have anything else here really to push. So I guess it could get in, but I don't know. I'm iffy on it.
Yeah. I don't know because I look at Wednesday the same way I look at The Mandalorian. That was just such a popular show. It was pushed by the
Yeah,
craft,
yeah,
and strong lead presence, I'll say, for both Pedro Pascal and Jenna Ortega. Um,
yeah,
so we'll see. We did see some, fun jabs on the Writers Guild
yes.
picket lines with them and Jenna Ortega when the stories about whether how much did she
She's a
work.
writer. Yeah,
So we'll see if maybe there's just an undercurrent of people that just don't like this show because of that. But I do think that it was so popular and the amount of eyes that are on it and the fact that I
yeah.
don't think like what's going to be Netflix's priority in this category. I feel like they
They don't
usually
always get something in most years, though. I don't think so, at least. We can do comedy actor next, where the winner here, I'm going to go against Mustache Man, and I'm going to say Jeremy Allen White is my number one. I'm manifesting it. Not really a comedic performance, but I think easily my favorite performance in this category. Then I have Jason Sudeikis for Ted Lasso, Bill Hader for Barry, Steve Martin and Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building, and Jason Segel for Shrinking.
I agree with
Yeah,
everything. I think Jeremy Allen White will most likely win this. He's the new fresh commodity. And I
yeah.
also think that there is a lot of respect for the bear, and he is one of the major factors with that success. So yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think definitely Jason Sudeikis, Bill Hader, they've already won twice for this show, their respective shows.
Yeah.
And I think Steve Martin and Martin Short will continue to cancel each other out, and Jason Segel's
Mm-hmm.
just happy to be there as a first time nominee for his show.
Yeah.
So because another performer in that show is kind of sucking up all the attention, acting wise.
Yes. Yes. And then I guess Donald Glover has never not been nominated for Atlanta, but I think this past season I mean, the two seasons released pretty close together, but I think this is the final season that counts. Yeah, the show kind of lost a lot of its buzz, so I don't think he'll get in there. I think Shrinking has much stronger buzz. Then Nicholas Hoult for The Great. Elle Fanning has gotten in. I'm not sure if he's ever been nominated, but the reviews for this upcoming season have been very good. So it's possible, but I feel pretty confident in those six, to be honest. Comedy actress. Picking a winner here is a little tricky. I guess right now Quinta Brunson would be my winner for Abbott Elementary. She doesn't have Jean Smart to go up against. But I think the number two is honestly probably Jenna Ortega. I don't know if I see anyone else as a potential winner here. Maybe
I
Christina
could see
Applegate.
I could see sympathy for Christina Applegate, who also gives a stunning performance in Dead to Me, but she has
Yes.
a type of narrative that we don't tend to see in this
And it's not a
category.
very seen show either compared to the other potential nominees here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was less chatter about it because I think Abbott Elementary really exploded with its second season. Wednesday's a new
Yeah.
show. Dead to Me had been around, so there was less discovery with it. But I do think that Christina Applegate is a big enough star. She's definitely the biggest star among these six contenders, I feel, that people are aware of her and the show and her journey off screen. That she could end up, because I do think that if what you're saying is true and Wednesday just isn't necessarily appealing in this space, in an award space, and they feel Quinta Brunson's taken care of with writing for a comedy series and best comedy series, then I could
Mm-hmm.
see them wanting to throw Christina Applegate something, not only for this season, but for this whole show. Dead to Me hasn't really ever won any of these top prizes, and I think it had. I've loved this series. I thought season 3 was incredible. So I could see a world where this happens. But I do think it's probably more likely that Quinta Brunson takes it.
Yeah. So those are the top 3. Then I have Rachel Brosnahan for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, who just hasn't missed. I doubt she will this time. Then I have Elle Fanning for The Great, because the reviews for this season have been good, and she got in for the last season, but I'm not super confident about that. And then this last spot I'm even less confident in. I'm going with Linda Cardellini for Dead to Me. I think it could be similar to Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer for Killing Eve that final season, where people thought just one of them, if even one of them, would get in, but then because they're equals and they're co-stars, they both ended up getting in. So I think that could happen. The obvious people I'm missing are Natasha Lyonne for Poker Face and Selena Gomez for Only Murders in the Building. I don't really see anyone else potentially getting in there, but who do you have in those last few spots?
Yeah, I think that if we're going with the logic that Poker Face is in comedy series, I don't think
Yeah.
then you can leave Natasha Lyonne out. I think that would be.
Well, I'm not. I didn't have it in my comedy series, so
Yeah, I'm just overall. I'm just saying. I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like if you're going with Poker Face and comedy series, then you have to go with Natasha Lyonne and lead actress. I don't think one goes without the other. That would just be a shocking turn of events.
Yeah.
I think Selena Gomez got a lot of good press out of last year when she wasn't nominated and was kind of like. I think people started singing her praises more than they were before because they were like, it's ridiculous that she's not considered,
Yeah.
she is not nominated, but her 2 male co-stars are, because it really is a strong trio, a very unlikely trio. So I definitely think she's in.
So,
Um,
so technically, out of your 6, she would be the biggest star, not Christina Applegate.
well, no, I just think that Selena
No,
Gomez out of these contenders, I think is most likely to get in that 5th spot out of this
yes,
this group of 4.
this
I
second
still think
group.
Christina Applegate is the most well known to the voting community after her early work on
In terms of
it
acting,
was Married with Children.
yes,
And also Selena Gomez will always have the little bump that I also think Jenna Ortega has, and maybe this will prevent her from winning, which
the
is that they're
Disney
looked at as
Channel.
Disney Channel stars and they just can't shake that.
She was
Um,
very funny in Wizards of Waverly Place. So,
she was very good. I do not hold any of that bias. I think she's a wonderful actor and she's great on the show. But I do think that that's the only thing that I think holds her back a little bit is just that she has to prove herself more than she really should. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think Elle Fanning and Linda Cardellini just have had their moment. They don't. I think again, I just don't know if Dead to Me has enough to get 2 people in there when no other show is doing that in this category. Um,
no, but I didn't think Killing Eve had it in that. It had it in it for its final season, especially given the reviews, and that still happened. So I just
yeah,
think it's
but
possible.
I think listen, Killing Eve first off, I think did have a bigger footprint. It does
Yeah,
help. Look at Game of Thrones season 8. It does help when you're controversial because there are eyes on you. And both of those performers had won. Sandra Oh won the Golden Globe. Jodie Comer won the Emmy. So like
yeah,
those were established performers within that show. Linda Cardellini and Christina Applegate have never won anything for the show, and Linda
no,
Cardellini, I at least Applegate has been more consistent. So I don't see Linda Cardellini happening, especially because Dead to Me was a 2022 release. It came out for
yeah.
in
But
mid November.
they're like co-leads, so I just like, if people are voting for Christina Applegate, are they really just not gonna vote for Linda Cardellini too?
I do think
I don't
that
know.
is what will happen. I would
Maybe.
hope it doesn't because I think it really is a two-hander and they're both
Yeah.
brilliant. In my mind, I would give them the tie, but so I guess I will lean the conventional wisdom of Natasha Lyonne and Selena Gomez because I don't know. I feel like the great just it's coming on very late in the season, and I do think that they did lose a little steam with season 2, and I just wonder if this.
Yeah.
I mean, this obviously isn't Hulu's priority. They have other major contenders in the comedy series categories alone. So I don't know if Elle Fanning has enough momentum here.
True. I could see her missing. Uh Comedy supporting actor. Oh God, this is tricky for a winner. I guess for actually no, I'll say Harrison Ford is gonna win. I feel pretty decent about that actually for Shrinking. I feel like it's his time. I don't think he's ever even been Emmy nominated before, let alone winning. I think this is their time to award him. Also have the Indiana Jones buzz going on, so it'll be his year. So I have him at number one. Then Tyler James Williams for Abbott Elementary, who I do think could be win competitive. Uh, then everyone else who I don't think is win competitive, but will probably be nominated. Brett Goldstein, Ted Lasso, Henry Winkler, and Anthony Kerrigan for Barry. I think I'll still say Nick Mohammed gets in for Ted Lasso, but I'm not super confident about that. And then I'll say Tony Shalhoub for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and Stephen Root has got a decent amount to do this season on Barry, but will they get 3 actors in here? I guess I'll say Eben Moss Backrack for The Bear.
Okay. So I agree that Harrison Ford is at the top. I think Indiana
Yeah.
Jones and the Dial of Destiny coming out, I think, right before voting or nominations voting
Closes.
concludes.
Yeah.
And, we'll be playing through the summer when voting is happening. I think it's going to reignite, hopefully, just how much we love Harrison Ford as a
And he is great on the
canon.
show. I think it's one of his best recent performances.
No, for sure. But I just think that it's going to create a moment centered around him, and it's also he's great in the show. It's a way to give Shrinking something. When the biggest competition you have is the show that dominates every other category, I think that helps. And I also think that Harrison Ford is that type of actor that everybody, I think, takes for granted. He is a movie star and he's played so many iconic characters, but this I think shows him up in a great way. So yeah, I think it's a moment they're going to want to see on stage, not dissimilar to Cheryl Lee Ralph winning for Abbott Elementary. I agree. Tyler James Williams is his biggest and kind of only threat to a win, who I think has not only been an incredible presence on that show, but I think has been somewhat really well respected. I think
he has the best reaction shots on the whole show.
Under the radar. I think a lot of people really respect his work and what he's doing, so he could definitely win. Then Brett Goldstein, Henry Winkler, Anthony Kerrigan. I think Tony Shalhoub, never count out for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. All of these contenders. The 2 I would say look out for. I do think that Bowen Yang is kind of proving himself on SNL, kind of taking over that Kate McKinnon type of performer that just I think is the it person on the show. So I wouldn't count him out if they want to get an SNL cast member into this lineup. And I also think look out for Chris Perfetti if Abbott Elementary overperforms.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Because I do think it's possible that we'll see the original 6 characters that season 1 started with all nominated. I think that's a very likely outcome, especially because I think Nick Mohammed, I think the surprise of Nate's arc in the 2nd season is what propelled him into this category last year. I don't think it will be enough to keep him here because he's not particularly funny. He's not supposed to be.
He's not very likable.
It's not a very likable character. It's a great character and he gives a great performance, but I just compare that to the warmth of a Chris Perfetti or just the surprise that Bowen Yang gives us every week on SNL. I don't know if Nick Mohammed can compete with that.
I don't think that there's going to be as much space taken up in the supporting categories by Ted Lasso this year. I think last year, what's his name? Toheeb Jimo also got in here, as well as someone else got in the supporting actress category. So I think I might kick out Nick Mohammed for Chris Perfetti, probably. I'm not going to willingly put an SNL member in there just because I think I think it was just Bowen last year who was nominated from SNL. So I don't think they're as high on SNL these past few years as they have been before. So we'll see. We shall see. Comedy supporting actress. I think she'll do it again. I think Cheryl Lee Ralph is my number one once again, and I'll be happy to see it. She is probably my favorite character on the show. I guess her closest runner-up is probably Janelle James for Abbott Elementary, who is also incredible on the show. I think Cheryl Lee Ralph just has a lot of buzz and goodwill. And I think Barbara also got more to do in the 2nd season than she did in the first. I think honestly, Ava may have been stronger in the first season, whereas Barbara is stronger in the second season. But that's subjective. Then I do think Ao Edibiri for the Bear. If say those two split votes somehow, I think she is great on that show, and she could potentially win, as well as maybe Hannah Waddingham for Ted Lasso. But I just think that ship has sailed. So then beyond that, I also have Juno Temple for Ted Lasso, Alex Bornstein for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Lisa Ann Walter finally getting in for Abbott Elementary. If she doesn't, it will be a travesty because she is just as good. I think she's also gotten more to do in the second season. She's had some more
oh, for sure.
More
For sure.
storylines
The episode
that are
where she
just
teaches
her.
the kid to read. Yeah.
Yeah, the firefighter episode, she's very good. And then finally I have Jessica Williams in for Shrinking. I know Sarah Goldberg for Barry, who's incredible, but she missed last season, and I'm not sure if season 4 has been getting more viewers, but I don't know. I'll have to see how her arc concludes at the end of the season to decide if I were to kick someone out for her. It would probably be either Juno Temple or Alex Borstein. Probably Borstein, if I were to guess. But she's gotten in pretty much every season of Miss Maisel, so I'm not going to bet against that right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with your 8. I do think Jessica Williams will come on strong in that 8th spot. And as far as the win, I do think it's difficult because if you get all 3 Abbott women in there, will they cancel each other out because they're all so wonderful? Of course, with Modern Family, we saw that Julie Bowen would win this category with Sofia Vergara in competition, but that was only 2. I do think it makes it more difficult when there's
Did
3.
Sophia also win, or was it just continually?
Sophia never won. The 3 Modern Family actors who won, quick history, the Modern Family actors all decided to be put for
supporting
contention and supporting, to not say that there's a lead amongst them, which was very professional of them.
Yes.
One of the many reasons I love that
great
cast.
Ensemble. Yeah.
And I believe Ty Burrell won twice, and Julie Bowen won twice, and I think Eric Stone Street, he at least won once, I'm not sure twice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Ed O'Neill, and Sofia Vergara never won for that show.
Yeah, but that shows sometimes maybe for these comedy shows, once they pick a decided winner within the category, it's going to be that person continually.
Very,
so I think
very possible.
Yeah,
but I also think that I think it makes it difficult when it's not clear, because I do think that there's a lot of love for all 3 of these women equally.
There is.
I don't think it is like last year with Ted Lasso in supporting actor, where it was just Brett Goldstein is just leaps and bounds ahead than Tawheed Jamo and Nick Mohammed. Like, they weren't in the same class. No disrespect to those other actors. It's just Brett Goldstein is you could argue he's one of the leads of the show.
Totally different level, yeah.
I do think that makes it a little bit more difficult for them. But I also think that Cheryl Lee Ralph, again, is kind of caught up in this moment, though
it's amazing speeches too. Who wouldn't want to see her give another speech?
Exactly. But look out for Ayo Edibiri. I do think that she could be this sort of surprise ingenue discovery in a lineup that we're seeing a lot of people we've seen before, except for those actors from The Bear.
And a great cast in season 2. We got Bob Odenkirk. We got Molly Gordon joining the cast. Maybe this is how Bob Odenkirk finally wins his Emmy, because I mean, we'll get into drama series now. He's not winning in drama series or drama actor. But starting off with the series, number 1, Succession is just happening. Best show on TV right now. It's the show everyone's talking about. I think, honestly, so far at least, this has easily been my favorite season of Succession. It's just episode after episode is just continually getting better. I still think 3 is the best, but I look forward to it greatly every week. Then I have probably The White Lotus in second, then The Last of Us. HBO is my top 3, I guess. Then Better Call Saul, then Yellow Jackets, then Andor. Actually, no, I'm not going to have Andor that high. Then The Crown, then Andor, then House of the Dragon. That's what I'll do. I'll do that.
Yeah, I think that's the 8.
Yeah.
You have The Crown in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's your 8. Succession is definitely the runaway. Good for HBO.
4 of the 8, half of the category.
Yeah, as it should be, because
easily making the best television out there.
I do think that I don't know. I still get worried about Andor because I do think that the reason why The Mandalorian did so well was this
But
craft
it's just
ability.
much higher quality. Even in the
Yes, but I
crafts, Andor
don't,
has better
as
crafts.
we've seen with The Last Jedi, sometimes higher quality is not what people want from Star Wars. And so I look at The
Yeah,
Mandalorian as this like crystallization of the very simple ideals of what people like about Star Wars. And if that's what they want out of their Star Wars, Andor is not that. I'm not
but
saying that it won't get
did they
nominated,
like it this season?
but I don't think The Mandalorian's getting in. But
No.
I wonder if Andor is too small and isn't Star Wars enough. Like when you want Star Wars, Andor is not what you go to when you think of Star Wars. It's a
No,
very different take, and I wonder if that
I think that's why they would like it
ultimately.
more.
I
I
don't
think
know.
with this prestige TV voting crowd, Andor will go better. If this were the MTV Movie Awards, I would bet on Mandalorian. But I think with this crowd, I would bet on Andor.
It's just nothing else that I really see popping in there. I mean,
No, maybe
that's the
Yellowstone,
only thing. But
maybe The
I don't
Boys.
know. It just seems a little. I'm a little cautious with Andor because I to me I don't know. You just it's there's some alarm blaring in my head, and I love Star Wars, so I, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's just I don't see this being this over. We have so many genre shows. You know, you look at
Yeah,
Yellow Jackets, you look at House of the Dragon. You know, it's I've
Emmys are
seen that
much
many.
more open to genre, I think, than the Oscars tend to be, though.
We'll see.
Um,
We'll see.
I would say if there is a number nine, I would actually honestly say it's The Diplomat, which I've seen was on Netflix. It's very good, and it was a huge hit on Netflix. And I think that's something that could resonate with people. But right now, I don't think so. So yeah. Drama actress. Who am I gonna have winning here? Well, technically, Golderby still doesn't matter. Never mind. I'm gonna have Sarah Snook winning here as my number one because she has now moved to lead actress. My favorite character on the show. I think maybe the best performance on that show, especially in episode 3. I think she just stole the show. So she's my number one. Then I've got Melanie Linsky for Yellow Jackets. Then I've got Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us. Then I've got hmm, Imelda Staunton for The Crown. Then I'll do Elizabeth Moss for Handmaid's Tale. And then I'll do Emma Darcy for House of the Dragon. That's
Yeah,
what I'll do.
we have a somewhat similar list. I think that Sarah Snook is definitely out front. I think she was definitely the runner-up last year in supporting. And I think that
Mhm.
she's in the most beloved show. I think that Yellow Jacket seemed to be faltering a little bit with its second season, and also
Yeah, there's some weak
Kenan
episodes this
Thompson joke
season.
was correct last year when he said, you know, so many shows were hard to watch, and Yellow Jackets, it's because it's on Showtime,
Yeah,
compared to Sarah Snook being on HBO. It's also, you know, it's a dynamite character performed by a very remarkable actress. So yeah, I think that she's my number one. As for everybody else, I think, as you said, Linsky, Ramsey, Staunton, Darcy. Um, I think that just the two that I would say look out for are Sharon Horgan for Bad Sisters, who I think is this very well beloved character actress who was given the lead role, and I think a lot of times actors could just eat that stuff up. And I also think Kerry Russell, nominated many
she
times for
is
The
my number
Americans.
6. Yeah, or
And
not
I
number 7.
Yeah, I just think because it's the type of show that I think it's definitely not like leading a lot of pundits. But I think that's definitely one to look out for, as you mentioned.
She's
Um,
she carries that whole show on her back too.
she is the
She's very
show.
good in it. So
Yeah, and she is. I think it would be safe to say she's like TV royalty. I think at this point she's been
I
on
think
many
so.
wonderful programs that I think she's whenever you see Carrie Russell's name, I do think you give it a second look. I wonder if Elizabeth Moss can continue to stay in this.
She
Because Handmaid,
has she ever missed for Handmaids? I think maybe
I don't know, but I also
once.
think Handmaid's has always been declining. I mean, last year I think
Yeah,
Handmaid had a record for like the most nominated show that won nothing. So
yeah.
we'll see what happens. Maybe Helen Mirren for 1923, you know, the Yellowstone
Maybe. I just don't think they
parts of the
like I
lead.
don't think the voters like those shows as much as
We
the
think they do.
general public maybe does because Yellowstone missed out when everyone expected it to get in last year. So I don't know. But yeah,
So yeah,
if I were to have number 7, it would be Kerry Russell. Head on to drama actor, where I just we got at least 2 Succession boys here. What I'm struggling with is Brian Cox. He's appeared in 4 episodes so far this season. There's 4 more left if you haven't watched tonight's episode, I guess, which I haven't yet. Is he only needs to appear in 1 more episode to be knocked out of guest actor and to qualify for supporting or lead, whichever he wants to submit himself in. And I just where do you think he's gonna go?
I think we'll go
He
here.
seems like the kind of actor who would be like, I'm not supporting, I would want to go and lead.
Exactly. I also think that he is, I mean, he's the center of the poster. Regardless of what happens in the season, he is a lead actor.
Well,
He's
everyone
always
knows
in
what's
this
happening. Yes.
category. Um, I just, I think that the Succession cast is just going to have to deal with it. They're all great.
Do you think he'll be in 1 more episode?
I don't. I feel like it's possible, but even so, I wonder if even if there's only
We haven't
4,
had the funeral yet, so maybe we see
like
his body, and
I
that
feel like
counts.
so spoilers for
It's the talk of the town.
but I just I don't know. I don't see them putting him in guest actor. I just think that would be, you know,
Well, I think the actors get to submit themselves as well, so I don't think he would personally want to submit to guest actor either.
yeah. So I think they're Jeremy, Kieran, and Brian are all going to be in this category, and I have them kind of in all sharing that second place position to Pedro Pascal currently.
You have him winning?
Currently, yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I do have Pedro Pascal at first because I do think there's a lot of love for The Last of Us, and this is kind of one of the few categories they can truly award it. Especially, you know, if Brian Cox does go guest, that kind of takes out the chance of any of those Last of Us actors winning that category.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that he is just such
he's having a moment. Yeah,
he's having a moment. He has been in countless shows at this point. He is one of the biggest stars on television, and he is responsible for making, I think, that show what it is. I think him and, you know, of course, Craig Mazin. So
and
yeah,
Bella
I do think
Ramsey,
that
I think is just as important.
But I also think that Pedro Pascal, in the end, is the star of that show. He is. I think
Yes,
that with any performance that features a child, yes, you can say that it's both of them. But in the end, it is Brie Larson in Room, who we give a lot of the credit to, as much as Jacob Tremblay is
in
great.
terms of
It's
bringing
the
in
same thing here.
viewers, yes, but I think they're just as important for the emotion and the effectiveness of the story.
But that's not always what we're voting on here. We're voting on
No,
narrative,
no.
we're voting on, you know, career, and Pedro Pascal has put in enough work at this point that he would be worthy of this. And I do think with all those Succession actors canceling each other out, I do, and also the fact that, you know, Jeremy Strong has won what, twice? And I just
I
think
think
that
just once, maybe twice. I don't know,
I think
but
he
yeah,
won for
he's won
season
before.
one, then
Season 2.
season two, and
I think just 2. The first season didn't do well at the Emmys, and then he lost for 3 with Lee Jung Jae.
yes, okay. I think I'm getting confused with like Golden Globes too,
Yeah,
factoring this. But yeah, the fact that he's won, I think Kieran Culkin, the fact that he couldn't win supporting actor against Matthew
and would have
McFadyen.
won.
I also think that it's not the type of role that I feel like wins best lead actor.
No, he's very.
And
If I were to vote between this, if I were to vote in this category in general, I'd probably vote for him. I think he's had a very strong season, but I do think even though he's moved to lead, unlike Sarah Snook, she's moving to lead where it's just her in terms of the Succession people. He's been perceived, at least at the Emmys, as a supporting character up until now, and he's moving to lead. And I just don't think people will be able to shake off Jeremy Strong being the true lead actor of the
yeah,
show, which is why I would have him winning personally. I think he's just going to win again because I think the most voters are just going to vote for someone in Succession. I think most people it will be Jeremy Strong.
I mean, I do think that, you know, listen, I don't think it's going to be a Succession Schitt's Creek type of moment. I do
I
think
think
that
it
they're not going to
might.
win every category. Because this was such a strong year, especially for the HBO crop. They're going to
Yeah,
want to see something else
but
win.
Succession is just so much stronger than these other shows. I think.
I mean, Last of Us did very well, and it also was the more recent of the other HBO crop, and it's a new show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
where the other ones are, continuing the Game of Thrones legacy and White Lotus season 2. Last of Us made a big impression. It was a big debut, and I do think they're going to want to honor that somewhere.
Possible. If I weren't to go for any of the Succession boys, I do. If they were to vote split, I Pedro Pascal would be the one to benefit, I think. But as it is now, I've got Jeremy Strong, then Kieran Culkin, then Brian Cox, then Pedro Pascal, then Bob Odenkirk. And my last spot, do I go with Diego Luna for Andor, or Paddy Considine for House of the Dragon, or Jeff Bridges for The Old Man?
It should be Patty Considine, but
It should be. He was incredible, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna say if I've got Andor in series, I'll go with Diego Luna, but I'm not super I don't have The Old Man getting anything else, so I don't think I should do Jeff Bridges just based off his name. But that could also happen. But I'll stay Luna for now. Not very confident in that. But how about you for those last few spots?
yeah, I'm just gonna hope dict Patty Considine because honestly,
Yeah,
I kind of agree that his star power could be enough to get him in there, but I don't. I'm gonna
he's
hope that
another
it's
one.
not,
He should have
you
gone
know,
supporting.
but because Patty Considine is so good in that show.
Best performance on that show, I think, in my opinion. But yeah,
It's tough. That's
it's a lot of good
choice.
performances. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Drama supporting actress. I have Jennifer Coolidge winning. I'm confident in that part. There's been Rhea Seehorn and Jennifer Coolidge, along with Sarah Snook, in a report earlier this year. We're apparently all moving to lead, but I honestly think it's just going to happen for Snook. I think the other two will stay supporting,
That'd be
but
ridiculous. That would if
we'll see.
who would be left in this category.
Yeah, that would be wild. I think Coolidge is definitely staying. I think Seahorn should stay. But yeah, I have those as the top two. I just think Coolidge is going to win. I don't even really think Seahorn can beat her. Uh, then I've got Aubrey Plaza for The White Lotus, who's incredible on that show. Then I've got Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown, Christina Ricci for Yellow Jackets, Megan Fahey for The White Lotus, J. Smith Cameron for Succession, and that last spot is tricky. I'm not going to go with another Better Call Saul actress. The Crown has been weak this season, so I'm not going to go with Leslie Manville. So I guess I'll go with the House of the Dragon actress. But is it Olivia Cook or is it Millie Alcock? I think Olivia Cook has a little more to her name, so I'll go with Olivia Cook.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I
Yeah,
might agree with you.
yeah,
Yeah, I definitely think this is Jennifer Coolidge winning. I'm very happy that Megan. I think Sarah Snook leaving this category means that Megan Fahey will most likely get in, and that's wonderful because she's
yes.
such a tough role. Wonderful
I
actor.
would maybe vote for her out of at least my 8. I think she was incredible
I
on that
might
show.
agree with you. Yes, though
Yeah,
I also think that you never, not for the win, but for a nomination, I don't think you can count out Leslie Manville. We saw at the Oscars with Phantom Thread. She
that's
can always
true.
be a surprise. And also this character has routinely been nominated. Helena Bonham Carter was
Yeah,
nominated. I believe Vanessa Kirby was nominated. Not sure on that
probably.
one though. But yeah, so I don't count her out, but I do think that you could see a surprise from the House of the Dragon actors, either one of them, because both of them I think made a strong impression. Did they end up canceling each other out? That's also a possibility.
Yeah, true. Um, Drama supporting actor, where now Kieran Culkin, Matthew McFadden doesn't have to worry about him. So I think Matthew McFadden can just win again, which I think he probably will. Uh,
Yes,
and then God, this is maybe the category I have the most trouble with. Then I guess I'll have Giancarlo Esposito. I don't know if he should be my number 2 though, but who would
I
be my
think
actual number 2?
I think Matt Smith um and F.
Yeah,
Mark Abraham are following McFadden,
yeah.
and
I
Alan
just
Ruck,
worry
and
about.
then Giancarlo Esposito.
I worry about Abraham does have those allegations out against him right now, and I'm not sure how much. I mean, when those came out, there wasn't a lot of attention or weight put on them. So I guess he'll probably still just get in. I don't think there's enough people aware of it for it to cause that much of a big deal. So I guess he would then be my number 2. And then I would go with Matt Smith, then Alan Ruck, then Giancarlo, like you said. Then I'm going to say Alexander Skarsgård for Succession. Because I think he's only got to be in one more episode to count as a supporting actor. And I think he definitely will be. So yeah. Then I'll do Jonathan Pryce for The Crown. And do you think Nicholas Braun will get in? Do you think that'll be four Succession actors? He hasn't gotten a ton to do this season. I guess I'll make him my
The
number
final
eight.
season. I think so. He's been nominated for every other season.
If I
I
were
do.
to have another one, it would be Stellan Skarsgård for Andor, but I'm not sure if that show's that strong.
I think look out for Michael Imperioli for the White Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with the other contenders here. I also think that F. Murray Abraham, not to discredit those allegations, but it just I think that we talk about the possibility of that dissuading voters, and I think it
If
rarely does. So
doesn't, unless it's a huge deal, yeah, which this isn't.
so that my the reason why when you say that I'm just like I don't think it'll impact something is not to discredit anybody. It's just that it just
There's
doesn't.
just not much awareness about it either.
Yeah, like I honestly forgot that it had been reported. So
Yeah.
that's the unfortunate
There's
part.
also Nicholas Braun allegations, which don't have a lot of attention either. So I don't think it'll affect either of them. But I have seen more about Nicholas Braun, but still, I don't think that's getting to a lot of voters. John Lithgow could also happen for the old man. I just haven't had the old man in any other category, so I'm not going to do it right now. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I feel pretty good about those eight. Do we want to move on to limited series?
We shall. Let's speed through these. It shouldn't take too
Okay. No, it shouldn't. I still have Beef winning. There's some controversy around that show now, but there's still plenty of controversy around Monster. White House Plumbers turned out to be a terrible show. It seems like I've seen the first episode. Not very good. So I don't even have that getting nominated anymore. So I guess I've still got Beef winning, then Monster, then I've got Blackbird, which who knows, maybe that could win. Then do I put Love and Death in there? Then I'll say Fleischman is in Trouble as my number four. And I'm between Daisy Jones and the Six or Love and Death. I'll say, do I have an HBO show in here yet? No, I'll say Love and Death then.
Um, yeah, I think that Love and Death Has Hurt, that Monster is kind of the same show in some
That's
way.
true. And there was another show
Um,
about this exact subject matter last year.
yes, so and the reviews were mixed. Daisy Jones and the Six, I just heard more people talking about, so I would lean that.
Yeah, yeah, I changed my
Um,
mind. I agree.
so yeah, and then as far as the other ones, I do have Monster
Obi-Wan
up
Kenobi.
front.
Yeah. Oh, you do.
Was
You
that
do have
this?
Monster.
Oh my God, I can't
That's
believe
this Emmy season somehow. I know.
crazy. But yeah, the I do have Monster leading just because I think you can't in a I wouldn't say these are weak contenders, but I just think that none of them really have this sort of
It's not
driving.
as strong as it's been the past few years in
So
this category.
never doubt Ryan Murphy.
Their Netflix will have to maybe pick one in terms of campaigning because that's double Netflix right there. So we'll see which one they choose. But yeah, and then other stuff. I loved Swarm, and that seemed like it had a chance earlier on in the year, but I don't think it does anymore. I just hope it has a chance in actress, which we can move on to now, where Elizabeth Olsen seemed like a very potential winner here before the reviews and show came out. Now I don't think so anymore. I think Jessica Chastain is going to get the E in her EGOT
She's
here.
gonna EGOT within this 1 year.
If she wins the
Crazy.
Tony, yes,
Oh,
within
she's
like a
winning
year and
that
a half.
Tony.
Yeah,
I will
I've
lock
heard
that in now.
good stuff about Jodie Comer in that play
Okay.
though.
Prima Facie did not get a Best Play nomination.
It didn't. It
Um,
didn't.
Meanwhile,
Um,
I do think A Doll's House. I
I think
forget.
she'll probably win. I think she has more competition at the Tonys than she does here, honestly, though, which is what
Oh,
I
for
would
sure.
say.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah,
I
just
honestly don't see anybody else taking it, honestly.
no, I can't really either. I've got Jessica Chastain and then a huge gap where I would then have Elizabeth Olsen. Probably still as my number two. Then, God, I just don't know with this category. How much is the beef controversy affecting it? Probably not a ton, as we talked about with the previous controversies. So I guess I'll still have Ali Wong in. Then I'll have Riley Keough. I don't know about that, actually. I'm not
I
very
she's
confident in this
in.
guy. I guess Riley Keough for Daisy Jones in the six. Then Emily Blunt probably for the English still. And why not? Rachel Weisz for Dead Ringers. She's playing
Nothing,
twins
you're
there,
an Oscar winner. It helps lifting the
and
profile.
she's
Show
playing
people
two
the show's
characters.
all about you. Yeah, I think she could get in.
I hope Dominique Fishback gets in for Swarm, who's incredible in that show. I just the buzz around that show has died. So I don't know. How about you? But under Jessica Chastain, who do you have?
I agree with all you said.
Okay.
I do think Emily Blunt, Riley Keough, Lizzie Kaplan for Fleischman is in trouble. I do think Elizabeth Olsen will get nominated, though I do think her chances of winning have decreased. And then we have to wait and see with Beef. What's going to happen to it.
Yeah.
It could be a show that people just toss off. It could be a show that the controversy is helping bring awareness to. So we'll definitely have to wait and see with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lead actor, speaking of which, I did have Stephen Yeun here winning at some point. Now, I'm not super confident now. I'll stick with Stephen Yeun winning, but I probably will be Evan Peters for Monster.
Yeah.
But maybe the best outcome, Taron Egerton for Blackbird, who is my number 3, but I don't know if he'll win.
Or Daniel Radcliffe for Weird. That would
Yeah,
be
I wasn't a
such
huge
weird,
fan of
wonderful
Weird.
story.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind seeing him win. But yeah, he's my number 4. And then Michael Shannon for George and Tammy. And then I guess Steve Carell for The Patient. But yeah,
Man, you really dropped White House Plumbers.
it's not a good show. I'm sorry, I just dropped it everywhere. Yeah.
So I do think Woody Harrelson has a chance, but other than that, I agree with your list. Maybe Jesse Eisenberg for Fleischman.
Yeah, and Gold Derby lets us predict 6 here, but there are only 5 nominees in the acting categories and limited compared to the other ones for some reason. Who knows? But yeah, he'll probably whoever your number 6 is will end up missing. Supporting actress, where I think Monster should be honored. I have Niecy Nash Betts winning. Then I've got Claire Danes for Fleischman is in trouble. I did drop all my White House Plumber people. So then I've got, God, I guess Maria Bello for Beef. I have no clue. Then
I should say that White House Plumbers has a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it is not as
it
reviled as you're
does.
making.
Okay,
Yes.
when it first came out, it was like rotten, but I guess it's got. I watched the first episode and I really didn't like it, but maybe I should have. I guess I'll still have Lena Headey in there then. And then I'll do. Would I do Lily Rabe?
Cherry
I don't know if
Jones,
I
5
would.
Days at Memorial.
What is that show? That's why I'm.
Vera Farmiga was in it. I could not tell you the streamer, but
That's what
Cherry Jones, and I think
Succession.
nominee. No, she gets nominated for everything. She's a
True.
wonderful talent, and I think people like her.
True. I'm not gonna put her in there. I guess if I'm doing stars, I'll say Olivia Colman for Great Expectations, maybe.
Yeah.
And then, oh God, this is a very barren category. Then I guess I would do Plead the Fifth because that's 5 people and there's only going to be 5 nominated, so I don't need to do a 6 technically, I guess. So, how about you?
I've set my cards.
Niecy Nash, Claire Danes, Lena Headey, Maria Bello, and I forget who my 50s
We'll
was.
see about
Olivia
Maria
Colman,
Bello.
I guess.
Beef
Yeah,
would
we
be
will
really
have to see.
strong to get Maria Bello in there. But I do think Cherry Jones, Olivia Colman, Judy Greer could always pop in as a surprise. Wonderful character actor that people really love.
I think Beef is stronger than White House Plumbers, though.
Yeah, but it's just I think it just comes down to who is more. It's I think in this case it's the performer. So Judy Greer or Maria Bello. Who do they feel they want to give a nomination to? We shall see.
True. And then supporting actor, I feel like Paul Walter Hauser has that win down pretty easy.
Yeah.
Maybe they shouldn't even do supporting categories in these limited ones because God, then I guess
feel like
Richard.
That's best performance in a limited series.
Yeah. Then I guess I've got Richard Jenkins for Monster. Ray Liotta for Blackbird. I think there will be some sentimental votes there. He's also very good in the show. So Donald Gleason for The Patient. Young Mazzino for Beef. And Murray Bartlett for Welcome to Chippendales, or Jesse Plemons for Love and Death, one of those two. But I'll go with Murray Bartlett, recent winner, also in Last of Us. I guess he's got some buzz right now. So
I do think that Jesse Plemons is beloved, but Murray Bartlett, Emmy winner, has another Emmy
And
nominated
Jesse
show.
Plemons doesn't do much on that show. No offense, but it's
Yeah.
not like a he's a great actor, but it's not a very showy performance. And he disappears after said crime happens, is all I'll say.
Man, hopefully you've caught up with these shows because Jack is just ready to tell you
This
all.
is based on real life. I'm sorry. I can't spoil real life for you.
We need somebody to make a T-shirt with your face
Yeah.
that says "Can't spoil real life."
You can actually spoil real life, I guess, if you don't know what happens. But I mean, I'm pretty sure even in the trailer, you know what's going to happen. Yeah. But yeah, that's it for the Emmy predictions. Any final thoughts on the crop of shows we've got going on this season?
Um, I think we laid it all out there. I think it's a really strong year. Still waiting for absolute confirmation about the acting categories and where they're going to be.
Yeah,
But
the only one I'm scared about is
yeah,
Brian Cox, but I think he'll submit lead.
yeah. But yeah, I'm very interested, and I just hope because we do have a lot of very strong front runners, but I do hope they spread the love. There's so much good television out there. As much as Succession and Abbott Elementary may be wonderful programs, I do hope that we see more than them win in their respective fields.
Yes, I agree. I've got Succession winning every of those main categories besides supporting actress, which I'm fine with. I'm okay with that. And then uh, comedy, I've got Abbott winning what series, actress, supporting actress, and then supporting actor and lead actor have going to different shows. And then we can't predict it right now, but comedy directing, Bill Hader better win for I don't care which episode, but he better win. That's all I have to say.
He's not going to.
Who's gonna win then? Ted Lasso's not gonna win
I
directing.
don't know, but I doubt Barry wins a
And if
comedy category.
a good sign for Abbott is if it gets a directing nomination, because it didn't last year, but if it does this year, I think it's been a while since
A
um
traditional sitcom has
I think it's
gotten
been
it.
a while since a show has won series without a directing nomination. So if it gets it, I would say lock it in, honestly. But yeah, we are only in May, so I wouldn't lock anything in too soon. But yeah, good good crop of shows this upcoming awards Emmy season. You can stick around because we'll be covering it pretty actively as I think I think everyone has to submit stuff pretty soon because it's the end of May. So yeah, we will be covering the Emmys as well as the Oscars. Don't think we've forgotten about those acting categories for the 2024 Oscars. And then plenty of other fun stuff coming. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe. Where can they find you on the internet, Anthony?
You can find me at Anthony_post on Twitter, Letterboxd, all those fun places.
Fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, that's all. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.